Everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be very interesting, especially if you are preparing for the Salesforce Developers interview. Recently, one of our students from GradX Academy appeared for the Salesforce Developer interview at Persistent System. After the interview, he shared few questions with me, and today we are going to discuss L1 round of Persistence Salesforce interview. So in this video, I will walk through the actual question and answers, actual questions answers that is been asked to the learner. So let's get started. So the first and very common question in every interview is tell me about yourself. Now, this is the most common interview question. Almost every interviewer will ask you at the start of the interview, but many people make mistake here. They either speak too much or they speak randomly. Your answer should always follow the simple structure. First, start with your current background. Then, for example, I am Salesforce developer, experience with building the solution on the Salesforce platform. I have worked on the technology such as Apex, Lightning Web Component flows and integration. Then talk about your experience or learning journey. For example, I have worked on implementing the business requirements such as automation using the triggers, developing Lightning Web components for the custom UI, and integrating the Salesforce external system. Then talk about your recent projects also. Like, for example, I have implemented the banking domain project. Finally, close your strength and interest in the role. So the structure should be like introduction, experience, technology, and the project summary. Now, let's start discussing the questions. The first question is explain your recent project. This is the important question because interviewer want to understand how much practical experience you actually have. When you explain your project, do not just say the name of the project. Means do not just simply say I am working at a banking domain project or I am working for the banking project domain. No, you should explain four things clearly. First is a project objective. Second is a what problem was project solving. Second, then the Salesforce technologies used, like for example, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Apex, Lightning Web Component, flows, and integration. The third and most important thing is your responsibilities in the project. You can answer like you can answer your responsibility like I have worked on the Apex triggers, LWC development, API integration or automation. And the fourth is very important. One challenge is that you solved in the project. Interviewers love hearing about the challenges because it shows your problem solving ability. So remember the structure. First, project objective. Second, Salesforce features used. Third, your responsibility. And the fourth is key challenges or the solutions that you implemented. Okay. Now the third question is more technical. The third question is what is LWC decorator? In the Lightning Web component, decorator are special annotation that modify the behavior of the property and the method. The most common decorators are API, track, and wire. Let's understand them one by one. First is API decorator. API decorator is used to make property or method public so that it can be accessed by the parent component. For example, if parent component wanted to pass the data to the child component, we use API property or @API property. The second is track. The track decorator is used to make object property reactive. This means whenever the value changes, UI automatically get updates or update the value automatically. Earlier, track was required for the object and arrays, but now most properties are reactive by default, and track is deprecated decorator. The third decorator that we have is the wire decorator. Wire decorator is used to connect the component with the Salesforce data sources. For example, we can use wire to call an Apex method or to retrieve the records using the Lightning data services. So to summarize all three, API decorator is public property or the method is to make public property or the method. Track decorator is reactive property. Wire decorator connects component to the Salesforce data. The fourth question is wire decorator versus imperative method or imperative apex method. This is also a common interview question when you are working on the LWC and apex. There are two ways from you can call apex in lightning web component. First is a wire and second is a imperative method. Let's understand the difference. When you use wire decorator, the apex method call automatically, and when component is loaded, right, means it will call on rendering. It is reactive. This means uh, whenever the parameter change, the method run again automatically. This is mainly used for reading the data from the Salesforce. Now let's talk about the imperative method or imperative apex. Imperative apex is used when we call to the apex method manually using the JavaScript. For example, when user clicks the button, when user submits the form, when user takes any actions, imperative apex give more control because we can handle the error or response manually. So a simple way to remember is like wire automatically fetch the data, imperative method manually we can call the method and run. Question number 5 is LWC lifecycle hook. This is also very important. Just like other component framework, Lightning Web component also have a lifecycle hook. Lifecycle hook allows developer to run the code at specific stages of the component's life. The first lifecycle method is a constructor. Constructor runs when the component instance is created. Then we have connected callback. Connected callback is a one of the most commonly used lifecycle method. It runs when the component is inserted into the DOM. Developers usually use the method to load the data or initialize the value. Then we have render callback. This runs after the component is rendered on the screen. If you wanted to perform operation after the UI is displayed, you can use this method. Finally, we have disconnected callback. This method runs when component is removed from the DOM. It is typically used for cleaning the operation. Next is the parent to child component in LWC. Parent to child component communication in LWC. In Lightning Web component, parent component can send data to the child component. This is done using public properties. We use @API decorator in the child component. The parent component then pass the data through the attributes in the HTML tags. So the data flow is like parent component to child component. This is the most common communication pattern used in LWC. Question number 7 is what is child to parent component communication? Now, sometimes child component needs to send data back to the parent. In this case, we use custom event. The process works like this. First, child component dispatch an event. Second, parent component listen to that event. Third, parent executes the handler function. This allows the parent to retrieve the data or respond to action triggered in the child component. Custom events are very common patterns in the component-based development. Now, the question number 8 and very important. What is the what is communication between unrelated component or LMS? So earlier we discussed about the parent to child component communication, child to parent component communication, but sometimes in real application, two components do not have any direct relationship, meaning they are not a parent or a child. In such a way, in such cases, Salesforce provides the mechanism called Lightning Messaging Services or LMS. LMS allows component to publish and subscribe to the messages across the application. This means one component can send the message to other component that are subscribed to the message can receive. This is the best part of Lightning messaging services is it works on different technologies. Like for example, if we have one let's say Lightning component, and if you wanted to transfer the data to the Aura component, it will work, right? So this is the unrelated component. Now next is how many records how many records can be processed in the batch. Now, this is also important. The batch apex is used when we need to process a large volume of record that cannot be handled within the normal governor limit of the synchronous apex. Batch apex class implements the database.batchable interface. This interface requires a three method. First method is a start method. Start method is responsible for collecting the records and divide that records into the batches. Then we have second method called execute method. Execute method process the data in the batches or chunks. By default, the batch size or by default the number of records that can be processed in single batch is 200 at a time. The third method is finish method. The finish method runs after all the batches have completed the processing. Developers typically use the finish method to perform the tasks such as sending the email notification of the batch of the job, starting another batch job, or log in the result. Now, coming back to the question, using the database.query locator, batch Apex can process up to 50 million records. How 50 million records? Actually, 250K number of batches we can process in 24 hours. If we multiply 250K with let's say 200, then it will become 50 million records. That's why batch Apex is used to handle the bulk data. Question number 10. Can we call batch Apex inside another batch? This is very important scenario, right? Sometimes appears in the real-time implementation. The short answer of this is yes, but not directly inside the execute method. Salesforce does not allow us to start a new batch job from the execute method of the existing batch. This restriction exists to prevent the excessive asynchronous processing. However, we can start another batch job from the finish method. This approach is called as batch chaining. In the batch chaining, once the first batch completes processing, the finish method starts the next batch. This pattern is commonly used in scenarios where large processes needs to divided into multiple sequential job or batch jobs. Next question is, can we call the future method inside another future method? The answer is no. Salesforce does not allow the future method to call into another future method. Future methods are asynchronous operation and allowing nested future calls could simply create the extensive or excessive asynchronous processing and impact the system performance. Because of this limitation, Salesforce restrict the future method chaining. If we need more advanced asynchronous processing, Salesforce recommends to go with the Queueable Apex. Queueable Apex is more flexible and allows features such as job chaining, passing the complex data types, better monitoring through the job ID. So modern Salesforce development, Queueable Apex is usually preferred over the future Apex or future method for the complex asynchronous task. Then we have question number 12. Queueable job chaining. Explain the queueable job chaining, right? Queueable Apex is another asynchronous processing mechanism provided by the Salesforce. It is more powerful and flexible compared to the future method. To create a queueable job, we implement the queueable interface and define the execute method. The execute method contains the logic that can run asynchronously. One major advantage of Queueable Apex is job chaining. This means one queueable job can start another queueable job once it finish execution. For example, inside the execute method, we can call system.enqueue jobs and new next queueable job. This creates the chain of asynchronous jobs. Queueable chaining is used for the scenarios such as multi-step data processing, sequential integration, and complex background operation. Next question is, what is CI/CD pipeline? So CI stands for continuous integration and CD stands for continuous deployment or development. It is a DevOps practice used to automate the processing or process integrating, testing, and deploying the code. In traditional development process, developers manually deploy the code between the environment. This approach is slow and prone to the error. CI/CD pipelines automate this process. In continuous integration, developers frequently push the code changes to the versions control system such as Git. Whenever the new code is committed, automated process runs such as code validation, automation testing, and static code analysis. After that comes continuous deployment. In this stage, we validate the code is functionally correct or not. Automatically validate code is automatically deployed to the higher environment such as integration environment, UAT environment, or prod. CI/CD pipelines improve the development efficiency by ensuring the faster release, fewer deployment error, and better collaboration between the developers. If you wanted to learn CI/CD, then we have created the 5 video series uh, about the various tools that is used in the CI/CD pipeline. You can watch it on our GradX Academy's YouTube channel. Next question is, how do you handle or manage the Git code changes? Now, Git is a version controlling system used to track and manage the code changes in the software project. In Salesforce project, Git is commonly used to manage the metadata and the code across the multiple developers. The typical workflow involves the several stages. First step is developer creates the feature branch for the new functionality. This ensures that new changes do not reflect or do not affect the main code base. Then developers commit to their changes or the code in the changes locally. A commit represents a snapshot of changes made to the project. After committing the changes, developers push the code to the remote repository such as Git, GitHub, or Bitbucket. Next, developers create the pull request. What is a pull request? Pull request allows other team members to review the code before merging it into the main branch. Once the code review is complete and approved, the changes are merged into the main branch. This structure workflow ensures that code quality is maintained, collaboration between the developers is improved, and changes can be tackled and rolled back if necessary. Next is, how can you show third-party screen in the Salesforce? Now, sometimes business requirements involve the displaying the external application or third-party interfaces inside the Salesforce. These there are several approaches to achieve it. The common approach is iframe. We can use iframe in a Lightning Web Component or Visual Force pages. Iframe allows developer to embed an external web page UI into the Salesforce UI. Another option is Salesforce Canvas app. Canvas allow external application to be integrated directly within the Salesforce while maintaining the secure communication. Developers can also use the Visual Force pages to embed the external system. These techniques allows organization to integrate the external tools such as payment gateway, external dashboard, and third-party application directly into the Salesforce environments. The question number 16 is DevOps tools used in the Salesforce. Now, this is very important. Guys, if you don't know the DevOps tools which are used in the Salesforce, we have created a one course, mini course, which is available on the YouTube free of cost. You can go ahead and learn the DevOps tools in literally 5 or 6 videos. So you can just check it out on GradX Academy's YouTube channel. Let's come back to the question number 16, DevOps tools used in the Salesforce. DevOps tools helps us to automate the development, testing, and deployment process in the Salesforce project. Some popular Salesforce developers DevOps tools are Copado, Gearset, AutoRabbit, Jenkins, GitHub Actions. These tools helps teams to manage tasks such as automated deployments, version control integration, metadata comparison, and automated testing. Using the DevOps tools, we can improve the development speed and reduce the risk of deployment errors. Now, next question is on omni-channel routing. What is omni-channel routing? Omni-channel routing is available in the Salesforce Service Cloud. It is used to automatically route the work items to the support agents. Work items can include the cases, chat, leads, task, and messaging conversation. Omnichannels ensures that work is distributed to agent based on agents availability, agents capacity, and skills. This helps organizations improve the customer support efficiency and response time. Instead of manually assigning the cases, Salesforce automatically distributes the work to most suitable agent. The question number 18 is type of routing in the omni-channel. This is a cross question basically. Omni-channel supports the multiple routing strategies. Two main routing strategies are queue-based routing and skill-based routing. In the queue-based routing, work items are placed in the queue. Agents who are the member of these queues receive the work item based on the availability. Skill-based routing works in such a way that work items are assigned to the agent based on the specific skills. For example, an agent may have skills such as language expertise, technical knowledge, or product specialization. Salesforce uses these skills to route the work to the most appropriate agent in the system. The question number 19 is what is the difference between database.iterable and database.querylocator in the batch Apex? So both are used in the batch Apex. First of all, when we use database.querylocator, the Salesforce retrieves the records directly from the SOQL query. The advantages of database.querylocator is that it can handle very large data set up to 50 million records. However, on the other hand, we have database.iterable. It is used when records come from the custom logic instead of simple SOQL query. For example, records might be coming from an API response, a complex calculation, or a custom collection. In such cases, iterable allows developer to define how records are provided to the batch. So the main difference between iterable and query locator is query locator is used for the SOQL queries and supports the very large data set. Iterable is used for the custom data sources and complex record generation. These were the questions asked in the L1 Salesforce interview. L1 round means first round of interview at Persistent System. If you are preparing for the Salesforce Developer interview, make sure you are comfortable with the topics such as Lightning Web Component, Apex, Asynchronous processes, DevOps, Git, and Service Cloud feature. These are areas which where most company focused during technical interviews in 2026. If you wanted to know the question asked in the L2 round, let me know in the comments. I will create another video explaining these questions as well. So I hope you like the video. If you like the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to GradX Academy's YouTube channel. Thank you.